All right, good morning. So every challenge you have to face in your personal life or in business falls into three areas: emotional, intellectual, or your decision making. All right, that's it. If you are dealing with a problem of hurt or loss, then you're dealing with things which are causing you anger, causing you anxiety. That stress, that negative emotional energy is going to cause a problem, which is going to attack your personal boundary, right? Intellectually, you are either, if you've got a problem, it's either because you're confused or lazy, or you're obsessive, all right? So if you are, if you're lazy, because you are not digging in and finding information out about something, that's where your confusion is coming from. You haven't done the work. Okay. That, of course, is leading you to a point of failure. And certainly the result of failure is going to be you're not reaching your goals. Again, that problem, when that hits your personal boundary, you've got to get it done. Now, here's the other thing. Of course, you could be obsessing about something. Now, we also see a loss of time in obsession because of like iPad use, or, you know, pulling your phone out and doing different things with it, that is in social media and whatever. But the net effect is it's still obsession. The third thing is your decision making. You're either making decisions which are amoral, and that is because you are lacking conscience, right? Conscience comes from within, or you are naive and you are lacking intuition, which means you don't know enough about what's going on around you and outside of you and how that's playing into you. And then that can usually feed into what's known as an illusion of being trapped. Now, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but if you know what a honeypot is, right? It's where a handsome lady or a handsome guy, it's usually a lady, but the handsome person is specifically targeting you. And what happens? You get involved with them, and then they've got photos, they've got recordings, they've got video, whatever the case is. And now you have this illusion of being trapped. Are you actually trapped, or are you just not making a decision to come clean to whomever you have to come clean to? It could be your job, could be your spouse, could be your family, could be business partners, whatever. And you have this illusion of being trapped. You are allowing yourself to be trapped. Why? Ego, pride, whatever. All right. The way that you deal with all of this, again, is through your observing ego, stepping back out, looking at the situation, looking at your emotional spectrum when you're getting angry at something. Why are you getting angry? What is causing the hurt? Why are you feeling loss? What is causing the loss? I have a relative who I have not spoken to of any substantial nature in nearly 30 years, because for whatever reason, that number of years ago, they made a choice to cut me out of their life. I've reached out to them. They know our life situation. In many instances, they have said or done nothing. Well, guess what? That's their choice. Now, can I sense loss about that? Absolutely. Absolutely, because I want that relationship, since they're still alive, I want that relationship to heal. Will it? I mean, if they come back around, I've made overtures, I've tried to do things, they've not come back around. That's their choice. Now, it's my choice as to whether or not I let that create stress in my life and that negative emotion, right? Now, there plenty of times I've been lazy, plenty of times when I've obsessed about things. You know, I use the phone as an example. There was a period of time when I was seriously stressed about some stuff, just, you know, and I would veg out about whatever it was, and I would find hours were gone. And I'm sure at some point in your life you've done that. When my dad, who was my stepdad, passed, I was in the middle of a project for a client, and I had to get that project done. It was a substantial amount of income, and there were hours in a day that I would find myself literally just listening to sound effects and music and other, funny quotes from movies and stuff because I was stressed. I, I did not know what else to do. Now, change that, okay? So now I was obsessing about some stuff, but I was also feeling loss, right? So that emotional and intellectual spectrum were both hitting me because I didn't know what else to do. So my brain was stuck. All right. Um, when I lost my grandmother, I was pledging a fraternity at the time. I was staying in the fraternity house over break, and having a great time. I had just checked in with her on a Friday, and we did our typical, "Hey, Grandma, I love you," and she'd say, "Hey, Phil, I love you too," and we'd hang up the phone. There were no cell phones back then, so there were landlines and payphones. That was it, right? You could call into a payphone if it would receive calls. The fraternity house had a payphone and it would receive calls. My family finally tracked me down. My mom and my dad had driven out to Cleveland to be with my grandma, who was dying. She'd had a heart attack, and then that triggered multiple strokes, and then she died. They found me 2 days after the initial event, and I had literally just hung up with her, and shortly later that day is when all of this happened. It was years before I overcame that loss because she had helped raise me when my biological father had died and my mom needed help. So she and my grandpa rather, you know, kicked into high gear and helped my mom out. And I, being the oldest, spent most of my time there. So that loss was massive, massive negative emotional energy that just went straight through my personal boundary. Now, decision making, I use the example of a honeypot, but amorality, just not having a conscience towards a certain thing, right? There are some people who say, well, they're not for the death penalty, and yet they are pro-abortion. Okay, all right, great. Well, one has the right to life, and the other committed a crime, and they don't have the right to life. So obviously, you've got a disconnect in your morality. Okay, but you could also be naive about some things. You just don't know what you don't know, and obviously, in an era where corporate media is not telling you the truth about a variety of things, and you're not learning the full breadth and scope of the story unless you're looking at multiple different types of media and hearing and being able to weed through the conspiracy theories as well as the outright, you know, let's say obfuscation or hazing over, covering up some of the details of things because they don't want to be reported for whatever political or corporate reason. Well, guess what? Okay. You've got to learn how to work through all of that so that you're no longer naive about things. All of those things will help you to overcome every single problem you are going to encounter in business, your personal and professional life. All right. So I hope this helps. So we'll see you again tomorrow. And in the meantime, may bless you and send you on your way. Father, thank you for all the moms and the dads and the kids that listen to these podcasts and watch them. Lord, I am grateful for them, and I ask that you would bind them, strengthen them, encourage them, help me to give them information that will help them to improve how they relate to each other and relate to the world around them so that we can make a positive and lasting impact in culture. In Jesus' name, amen. Take care. We'll catch you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.